Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Trickett. Hey, yes guys, this is another amazing edition of Wake Up with Trickett. You hear the sirens in the background, right guys? That's because the bad guys and the bad girls, the bad guys and girls are getting caught. The karmics that have been up to no good, thinking no one sees them, thinking that they're getting away with things. That's what that siren in the back meant. It means that they're being exposed, that they're being brought to justice, that justice is being served. Absolutely. Sometimes it takes a little while because that's just the way God does things. But the good thing is justice in this cycle of life, in this season, is finally being served. And, you know, I'm just going to throw this out before we even start the message. But these karmics aren't too bright. Now, these karmics believe in spiritual gifts and, you know, they're tapped into the spiritual world, right? But just for the negative, you know. But they're tapped in. So they're accustomed to using readers and psychics and things of that nature, people that have gifts, right? Now, these got to be the dumbest people, but you got to understand that it must be designed this way on purpose. And what that is they're so caught up, the karmics, in trying to attack you and try to attack me and try to, you know, focus on what you have coming and what this person has coming, that they never see the karma that they have coming until it's too late. And so if they were smart, they would get a read, right? And say, this is what I'm planning on doing, right? Now, tell me, is this going to be beneficial? Is this going to backfire on me? This way they know ahead of time how things are going to work out for them. But they're delusional. So, you know, they use reads to find out your future, to find out what you have coming, to find out what's going on in your life, but they don't use it for their own. So, you heard the sirens earlier. They're all going to get picked up one by one and exposed. No more hiding, no more masks. And they should have did a read and said, is this going to really happen to me? Or do I have bad karma coming to me? But you know what? It's meant for that not to happen like that. So anyway, hey guys, my name is Trickett. This is Wake Up with Trickett. And I hope everybody's having an exceptional Friday today. It is TGIF Friday. Thank God it is Friday, right? Thank God for every day that you're able to see, right? So anyway, guys, if you have came across my channel, it's not by coincidence. Hang out with me. No matter who you are, I guarantee you're going to learn something, because at Wake Up with Trickett, we are all waking up together and we're all learning together, right? Absolutely. So, if you are returning, no matter what your mindset is, because you hang out with me long enough, two things are going to happen. You're either going to get better or you're going to walk away. Because water and oil just doesn't mix. So anyway, guys, I want to talk to you guys. Let me see what kind of time I got. Okay, I got it. So I want to talk to you guys about when the W doesn't stand for win, but it stands for wait. When the W, let me say that again, doesn't stand for win, but it stands for wait. When God puts you on hold, has to be one of the most challenging times that anyone can be facing. Because as you know, God's time isn't like our time. You hear people say that, you know, time is an illusion. No, they're wrong. Time on this planet is no illusion. Time in the spirit world is an illusion because it doesn't exist. So when you're in the spirit, there is no clocks on the walls because time doesn't exist. So when you're dwelling in the spirit, absolutely right, time doesn't exist. But if you're living in a 3D, because 5D is in the spirit, 3D is here on earth. So here on the 3D, in the 3D, time does exist. We do everything off of time. There's nothing that we don't do off of time. So from the minute you wake up, everything is on some type of time frame, time schedule of some sort. So it's not an illusion. So when God puts you on hold, right? Sometimes it's a little bit easier to understand when he gives you clarity, right? You get clarity and you understand why. So you're waiting, but you know why you're waiting. And so, you know, it still may be a little bit challenging and whatnot, but at least you know why. But in a lot of cases, he doesn't even tell you. So your intuition, which is that feeling you have inside, that gut feeling that tells you this or tells you that, your intuition, you know you have good things coming. You know you finished off a cycle. You know that you put out a lot of good love and light. You know you have a lot of good karma coming back. You know these things intuitively, right? And you might even got some spiritual downloads. What does that mean? That means like, you know, you could have got a dream, or you could have just had a daydream and the thought was put in your mind and explaining to you what you have forward to look, you know, what you have to look forward to. And so it's very difficult when God doesn't tell you, right? When he doesn't tell you, so he puts you on hold and he doesn't tell you. So this is when the W doesn't stand for win, but it stands for wait, because you're in a state of waiting and not knowing. So it's frustrating because you're like, well, why am I just waiting? I'm not being utilized the way I feel I should be being utilized. I'm not working at the level that I feel I should be working. Why do you have me on hold? And how many times those that have kids have asked you something and they're standing this close to you, right? And they're like, mom or dad or whatever, right? And they're asking you a question and you're just like watching TV or talking on the phone or doing whatever, but you hear them, but you're not acknowledging them. A lot of times when God puts you on hold, puts you in that holding cell, he hears you. He hears everything you have to say. But just like that parent, just like you and I have done, you don't feel like answering it because for whatever reason, you don't have to, right? You are the boss, so you don't have to. You know you'll answer it when time permits. That's when you'll answer it. And that can just be very frustrating because think about it when you're a kid and you don't get answered. You're like, man, I know you hear me asking. That's how we get with God. I know you hear me asking, right? Like, why am I just on hold? Or why are you allowing this to happen? Or why has this been allowed to go on for so long? Why are you not allowing me to move forward? What is the point of hiding me in plain sight? What is the point of putting me on hold? And we have all these answers, right? We have all these questions, hoping that we're going to get an answer. And then when we don't, we're just on hold when the W is not for win, but for wait. And we're waiting on God's time. They call that divine timing because it's God's time, not our time. Now, God knows time here isn't an illusion because he's created it for us. That's why you have a birthday every year, right? Because time isn't an illusion. You get older, so you get the gist of it, right? So, it does get difficult. Waiting without clarity. Waiting, not having any answers. Just waiting. I'm just waiting. Could be working, but I'm not. I'm just on hold. How do you know? Because every time you go forward to do something, it gets blocked. That's God. Saying not now, it's not the time, for whatever reason. That's why in the Bible, I clearly understand this now. when the scripture says that God is the author and the finisher of your faith, because he's writing the story in your life. What does an author do? Writes books, writes stories. So he's writing the story in your life. And I'm sure you feel you have all this free will. Yeah, just like your kids do, all the way up until you say they don't. So, do I agree that some people have more than others? Absolutely, because, you know, depending where you are spiritually, we're not all ranked the same. So we're not all going to be treated the same. We're not all going to have to go through the same thing. And we're not all going to have the same challenges. And we're not all going to have the W stand for wait as long as it has been for other people. And I would tell God, like, okay, you got me waiting, you got others waiting. You got us waiting. But I told him, isn't it like a chef in the kitchen? While we're waiting on the main meal, like Thanksgiving or Christmas, right? You're waiting on the main meal, the turkey, whatever it's going to be, right? And everybody can smell it. And you're like, oh, it smells so good. And you're trying to sneak in there. Why? Because it's hard to just wait, right? So you're waiting for the cook to leave out the kitchen so you can hurry up and go in there and take a little bite of something real quick and hurry up and run back and act like you're not chewing nothing, right? Because you can smell it, which is your intuition. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. You can smell the food. You know it's getting prepared. You know it's coming. It smells delicious. Your intuition saying, I know whatever God is going to give me is going to be amazing. It's going to be great. It's going to be delicious. God says in the Bible, he only gives good and perfect gifts. He says if a wicked man knows how to give good gifts, the mafia still knows how to like give out turkeys on Mother's Day, and the gang member or whoever knows how to, you know, rent out the Beverly Hills Hilton or hotel or this place or that place, right? For Mother's Day, for single mothers. He's saying if evil knows how to do good, and then your Father in heaven, which dwells within me, he says, how much better does he know how to do? How much better of a gift can he give you? If this guy can do good, you know I can outshine that. And so you're smelling the food in the kitchen, and you're like, man, you're like, man, I want, you know, I can't wait till dinner gets done. That's your intuition. I can't wait till I get my gifts because I'm on hold. You're sitting in the living room or where you're at in the house on hold, waiting for the food to get done. And you're hoping that the cook is like, you know what, I don't have the main food done yet, but I do have little appetizers. So while you're out here winning battles, fighting karmics, fighting demonic spirits, going through your spiritual warfare, because I've been under a lot of spiritual attacks, and hopefully I'll get that video out today too. But while you're out there getting your wins, I was like, man, you go to the dentist, you go to the dentist, God, they give you a sucker if you do good. You go get a shot at the doctors, you know, they give you something. If you pass your grade in class, even if you haven't passed the whole master's, you haven't got your master's degree or whatever, right? You know, but you know, you got your bachelor's and now you're moving up or whatever the case may be. They give you something at each level when you pass. And I said, you know, it's kind of like somebody cooking. You smell the great food, you know it's going to be good. You can't wait to get it. But at the same time, there's no snacks. There's no, here's a little something to hold you guys over. I made some little hors d'oeuvres or sandwiches, or just a little something to hold you guys over while you are in your holding cell, or while you are in your holding period, or while you are waiting. Excuse me, because the W doesn't stand for win, not here. It stands for wait. But if you wait long enough, and then that W that stood for wait will also now transform and stand for win. And you will be a worldwide winner. But you got to wait it out. And that's not easy to do. Where are we at, guys? Okay. And that's not easy to do. So, just like it's not easy waiting on the food, and they're not feeding you anything while you're waiting. Oh man, you're going crazy. That's how it is when you're waiting on God a lot of times, and you're meditating to stay calm, and you're doing whatever practices you do to relax yourself, so you don't overexert yourself or stress yourself or give yourself anxieties and all these other negative energies that doesn't serve your highest purpose, doesn't serve your highest good. So you're going through all of that, but at the same time, you're human, right? And you're like, I smell that food. That guy or that girl or who's ever cooking, they haven't went to the bathroom, they haven't went nowhere. They got the whole kitchen on lockdown. I am forced to wait. And it smells good, and I know it's getting closer. I know my time is getting closer. I know your time is getting closer, because the chef has been in the kitchen cooking for some time now. So if nothing else, the longer the chef stays in the kitchen, the closer your food has to be. Your food has to be coming closer to being prepared before they finally say, "Come on in." There's no more locked doors. And come and get what is rightfully yours. And we're all waiting for that time. Those who are in a season of waiting right now, waiting to turn their W of waiting into the W of winning. So we're going to have to wait on God's divine timing, which is not an illusion here in the 3D, but in the spirit, there is no clocks. But since he created everything, he understands that we live on time. Now, sometimes, God can come off like an old man. What do I mean by that? It means he moves slow. Doesn't seem like he's in a rush for anything. Have you ever talked to an old person? They're never in a rush for nothing. Why are you moving so fast? Why are you in a rush to go somewhere? You're just like, man, I'm trying to go. You need to slow down. It's kind of like God is. Now, can he move quick on a drop of a dime, blink of an eye, all that good stuff? Absolutely. But does he normally operate in that energy? Absolutely not. He has a track record of taking his time, a track record of testing your patience. Sometimes he tests your patience so long, you're like, is it really a virtue? Is it really a virtue at this point? Or is it just like, I've been on hold for so long, I got to just trick my mind and say patience is a virtue, only because I've just been on hold for so long. And there's a lot of us out there like that, right? But just like the kitchen, just like the cook in the kitchen, it's been some time, so it has to be closer than what it was an hour, 2 hours ago. The meal has to be getting closer to being